think we're live. Are we live? Yes, we're live. I love saying that we're live. It seems to be that sort of like that little catchphrase, because I never know whether we're live or whether we're not live, but I do believe we're live. Good morning, everybody. I'll stop mumbling along now then. So good morning, everybody. Here we are. The spirit world sees all. But does it actually? Does it really? I mean, I have so many people who ask me, does my mother really hear me? Can my brother really, does he really see me? I mean, what's going on? Do they see all? The answer is a resounding yes, they do. And you've heard me say this before. When I realized how clearly they could see, how much they could see of our everyday life, I started using bubble bath in my bath water. Now that supposes, I know, it supposes that they are interested in everything we do. It supposes that some of them are out there peeping toms. It supposes that they don't want to give us any privacy. And those three supposes that I just mentioned are simply not true. Of course they give us privacy. And who on earth wants to see me floundering about in the bath? Maybe when I was 20, maybe when I was a baby, it might have been fun to watch me, but not really, not now. So, but it just, so it didn't really, and of course, if they wanted to, they could see through the bubbles as well. But the truth of the matter is that it doesn't matter. So, because they're not really watching, they're only watching us as we go through our lives, trying to steer and guide us. Those bubbles just made me feel a little bit better about lying in the bath. Now I take showers and I never even think about it anymore. Again, mumbling and grumbling along. I'd like to, because we've just mentioned bubbles, I would like to just mention that we're going to actually talk about what this world of ours is like, and why I think that the spirit world might see all, and why it's possible for them to come and visit us. But before I do that, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide Gregor, who is always, as usual, by my right side. I'd like to my far right, I'd like to say good morning to Carolyn. Good morning, Carolyn.
Good morning, Carolyn.
See, every time. And of course, we have our wonderful Al in Colorado. Al, say good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Excuse me. Right. So, where are we going to start?
Right here.
Well, hold on one second. Just give me 1 second. Al, you've had family visiting. For how long?
I lost track, about 2 weeks, probably.
No, well, if you've lost track, oh boy, you're in trouble.
I think it was about 2 weeks. Yeah.
Did you have fun time with them?
We did. Yes, we did.
I know that the first time I heard this phrase, I was in America, so I don't know if it's a purely American thing. Of course, we British would never say such a thing, but they say that visitors are, what is it they say? Visitors are like fish. If they stay too long, they start to stink. I actually don't feel like that about visitors. I rarely, if ever, want my visitors to leave, but I know it can be extremely exhausting. Are you exhausted, Al?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge because you can't be yourself in your house, and you're always kind of on. And yeah, I think and you're always doing something every night when sometimes you just want to chill out and relax. I think those things are exhausting. Yeah.
Well, you see, I take a whole different attitude, because when people come to my house, I still do what I want to do. If they want to join me, if they want to come along, fine. If they don't want to come along, fine. I actually am probably, in one way, I'm probably the worst hostess, because, I carry on with my day. I do think about, maybe taking someone out here, there, and everywhere. Karen came recently, and she wanted to do a few things, which I was happy to take her here and there. But I'm also the kind of person who I can say actually no. I can say if you want to go to see so and so, I'll ask a friend to take you, because I don't feel obliged to be running around. And I think that maybe it comes with age. Maybe I'm just too old to care anymore about my company. So in one way, I'm the worst hostess, but in the other way, I feed my guests fantastically well. So a lot of them only come for the food anyway. So it works out all right. But I do understand it is exhausting. When you say you're always on, I know exactly what you mean. And of course, you've got 3 kids. I've just got me to deal with. Uh, but I don't. I just feel. I don't feel that like I'm always on. I'm just me. And I rarely wake up in a grumpy mood. I rarely wake up, I mean, I actually don't wake up in a grumpy mood. We had a rule in our house when my daughter was growing up, and that rule still applies now. There is no sulking in this house. Absolutely no sulking. I don't allow sulking. That includes me sulking as well. So I bore it. Can't deal with people who are moody, and I tend to say to people in a nice way, of course, you can cut that out. Just don't go there, don't do that. I think maybe before we go further into that, shall we have you want to question Carolyn's? Carolyn has been bursting at the seams. She's got something to tell us. I have no idea what it is.
I don't have something to tell you, but Priscilla is joining us.
Good morning, Priscilla.
She hasn't been with us in a few weeks, so she says, hello, Rosemary.
Good morning, darling.
Long time. I'm just about 5 weeks away from my delivery. Seek your blessings for a healthy baby and delivery.
Of course, always.
And we've actually known that secret for months now.
We have.
Yes.
And we've kept it to ourselves.
It's been exciting.
It has been exciting. It has. Oh, I'm so pleased, darling. And just, make sure that you blurt out that good news when the baby comes. We all want to know. So you take care. You need to put your feet up, I think, a bit more. Just, come on now. Do the right thing for yourself. This is probably the only time in your life that you are going to have those moments where you can put your feet up, where you can rest, and where you don't have to think of anything other than you. Because as soon as that baby pops out, it's going to be different, right? You're never going to be thinking about you totally, ever again. So take these times, take these moments, and enjoy them. Al?
Sure. We have a question from Albertine.
Good morning, Albertine.
Hello, Rosemary. A blind child asked me, do you have a belief?
I'm sorry, what child?
A blind child asked me, do you have a belief? She writes, but I think she means belief. I say, I believe in myself. This gave her confidence in herself. How do they see a child in the spirit world looking for answers?
I'm not really sure of the question here.
I think she like if a child is looking for answers to questions like asked of her, how does the spirit world view the child? Looking for those answers?
I think in the same way that the spirit world sees all of us, because, however old we are, we're still children of God. It's very difficult with young children and how much to tell them, how much not to tell them. It's very difficult to educate our children, not to give them too much more than they can handle, but to give them enough so that they understand that this is a normal. It's perfectly normal. That what we believe in is perfectly normal. I think that, so many cultures have it right and our Western culture has it absolutely wrong. I've said this before. I think that we're all educated about birth. Everybody knows how to make a baby. My daughter, I remember lying in bed with my daughter and she was 5 or 6 years old, and we were talking about how to make a baby, not how a baby is born, because we'd already covered that one, but how actually to make a baby. And, using sort of hand movements and so on, I was able to describe it to her. a child is ready to have that information when the child is ready to ask. I think that's the key. Don't, and with the spirit world as well, I'm sure that they are helping, steering and guiding our children just as they do with us. When a child is ready, the spirit world will know probably before the child does. But as far as parents are concerned, and people who are around children and educating children, we know that when the child starts to ask questions, the child is ready to have the answers. And my grandson, he's 6, but by the time he was sort of, I'm going to say 3 or 4, he was already asking questions about people who die. And he was already, we were already discussing that. And of course, my daughter always hands over to me, and she'll say to Reese, well, that's a question for Mosey. We'll ask Mosey what she thinks about that. And so I get to answer all those questions, which I love to do. And in our household, birth, death, whatever it is, it's all part of our everyday lives. And I can't remember if I told you this story last week, but I was talking to my grandson, and we were talking about my chocolate covered shortbreads, which they're his favorite. And I was making some, and he was saying, will you send some to me? And I usually do, but wait a minute, I bought his mother a machine to make these things, to help her to make these things, I should say. So we convinced, Mom to make some. And a few days later, he said to me, I said to him, did your mum make your shortbread cookies, darling? He said, yes. He said, and don't worry, Mosey. He said, it's okay, because now when you're dead, Mama can make them. I was like, okay then. So when I'm dead, he'll still be able to have his chocolate shortbread, is what he was trying to tell me. And it was a natural thing for him to say, just perfectly natural. When you're dead, Mama knows how to make them. So when you're dead, we can still make chocolate shortbread. So that's that. So I was put in my place. So my idea now is to make sure that Samantha does not know all of my secrets in the kitchen. I have to keep some back, because I want to be around for a long time for both of them. I'm going on here. Let's have another question, shall we?
We've got a comment from Sally.
Good morning, Sally.
She says, good morning, all. I'm sending positive vibes out to everyone. And then we've got Sarah. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Sarah.
I prayed for a new job, went to a job coach. A new function opened up in my current workplace. I applied, got an interview. Will the result be positive too? Law of attraction?
You have to wait and see. You just have to wait and see. Now, I know that we had an email from somebody asking a question. Can we have that question? Because I found this question quite intriguing.
And this is actually the title of today's show.
Is it?
Well, if we ask God for what we want, will we get it?
Oh, that's right. So yes, we had an email from someone who did say, if we ask God for what we want, will we get it?
Yeah. Is the secret real? Can we ask for what we want and receive it? In the Bible, it says, ask and it shall be added unto you. Is this really true? Just ask the universe and you will receive it?
I think the quote is, ask and it shall be given unto you. And yes, that quote is in the Bible. Al, what do you think about this? Do you think that if we ask the universe, or if we ask God, or whoever it is out there that we're going to ask, do you think that if we ask for something, then we're going to get it? What do you think?
I don't think that we get things as directly as we think or we want to. If you ask for $1 million, I don't think $1 million will rain down from the sky. Otherwise, everyone would have $1 million. But I do think God gives us what we need. And sometimes that might not be what we think we want or what we necessarily want, but I think God always gives us what we need.
I always say to people when they come for a consultation with me, you may not get what you want, but you will always get what you need, because those in the spirit world know much more than we do about what we need. But I am a great believer in asking for things, and I'm a great believer in believing that for the most part I'm going to get what I ask for. But what kinds of things can we ask for? For instance, I always ask for a parking spot. I always get one. I always ask for a parking spot close to wherever, the supermarket, the restaurant, the whatever. And the place can be absolutely crowded. And I can be driving down the street and someone will pull out of the one parking spot that is just there and just meant for me. Of course, I've got Grey Eagle who makes sure that, he keeps me happy. That's not really his role. He's laughing. That was a joke, by the way, just in case anybody takes me totally seriously there. But I'm a great believer that if you ask for the simple things and the things that are not going to harm anyone else, the things that are going to make life a little bit easier for you, I think that, those people who are your family, who are your friends, who are watching over you, people who are trying to guide and steer, they do their very best to accommodate you. So I think there are things that you can ask for that you do get. There are other things, of course, that you ask for which may not be good for you. We don't see it at the time, but if you're asking, it's basically you're asking because you're trusting those in the spirit world not to give you what you want, but to give you what you need. And I think that when we're asking, and I know it says in the Bible, again, ask, and you shall receive, and all of that stuff, but we're talking about asking for things that have to do with our spiritual growth. We're asking for things that have to do with our lives and our happiness, but we're not necessarily asking for material things. And I think that's where people get stuck. Well, my neighbor won $1 million. Why can't I? Well, I don't know why. God knows why. Maybe the neighbor needed those $1 million, or maybe she is going to have a lesson because that $1 million might bring a thorough misery, because money doesn't buy happiness, I mean, God gives us what we need in order for us to learn and to grow. And if it coincides that what we wish for is what God feels that we need, then I think we get it. But if we ask for something that is going to be harmful to us in the longer term, for instance, like the job this lady wants, and will I get it, and all the rest of it, of course, it's possible to see the future. And I've told the future many times to different people, certainly not here on this show, because that would be completely irresponsible of me, because I need to think about it. I need to listen to Grey Eagle. I need to spend some time figuring out, what Grey Eagle has to say about these different things. This is not a show about me just giving messages out here willy-nilly to everybody. I'm much more responsible than that. This is more of a show about us learning, growing, and so on. So the mind is a powerful thing. The mind can create many situations, but the mind mostly creates our attitude, or helps us to create an attitude which is going to be really positive, or for some people really negative. But those of us who are really positive, and we're looking to achieve, and we're looking to change things, our positive attitude will help us to change those things. Our positive attitude will make us much more positive, much more aware, much more calm and reasonable when we go for job interviews. Our mind is the most powerful thing that we possess. And so using that, we can actually change our lives. And we might not get everything that we want, but I can assure you that we get everything that we need. Karen.
Terry has a question.
Morning, Terry.
What does the spirit world think about the mediums who take advantage of people?
Oh gosh, that's a tricky subject. What does the spirit world think about those? I'm asking Grey Eagle because I know what I think, but I'm not sure that I should say what I think, because what I think might be a bit tough to take. So I'm asking Grey Eagle, what does the spirit world think about people who take advantage? And he is, of course, because he's so much nicer than I am, he's so much more spiritual than I am, he's talking about people who are misguided, people who think that money, power, being able to control another person's life, people who are misguided into thinking that that's the way to go. I don't feel that there's any condemnation. I think it's more a question of sadness for that person, because there are people, not just mediums, but there are people who cheat and lie throughout our lives. There are people who take advantage. There are people who tell you that they're one thing when they know perfectly well that they are not, that they're perhaps something else. I myself, I'll give you my own opinion, get really incensed by some of the things people come and tell me, because people who just believe just because somebody says I'm a medium, you need your head examining. And it's not the people who say these things that we should be concerned about. We are responsible for what we listen to. We are responsible for our actions. Gregor is putting his hand on my shoulder even as I am talking to you about this. So he's obviously approving of what I'm saying. Those people who go and see, whether they call themselves a medium or a fortune teller or a psychic or whatever name they call, and they say, oh, your husband's been cheating, and so blah blah blah, all of that stuff, they're not mediums. They've been irresponsible with what they've given to you, completely and utterly irresponsible with the messages that they've given to you. But those people, and I know a person who actually came to me because she ruined her life, completely ruined her life, and lost her husband because a medium said to her, your husband's been having an affair for however long, and she went home, and it wasn't really about what the medium said to her. It was about trust. And she went home, she packed bags, and she left. She left her husband a note, how could you, how dare you, whatever it is. He, of course, denied it because he hadn't been having an affair and had never had an affair. A few days or a week or two later, when she came to her senses and she realized what she'd done, she called her husband. She wanted to get back together with him, but her husband had realized that actually the marriage was based on no trust whatsoever. It's not what the medium says to you, it's what you do with what she says to you, whether you believe or whether you don't believe. Unfortunately, people who go to see someone like myself, they're in a very vulnerable situation very often. But still, use your common sense and do your homework. Don't just go to somebody because there's a sign on the door or on the corner shop that says psychic readings upstairs, whatever it is. Don't do that to yourself. Be more sensible, be more responsible. Listen to what the medium says to you. If she's giving you really, really good, sound, solid advice and evidence that she knows what she's talking about, fine, then you can begin to believe her or him. But be discerning. You are responsible for your own responses and your own reactions to what somebody tells you. So just be discerning, be critical, and don't be afraid to be critical, because any good medium will absolutely tell you. Don't just believe it just because I've said it. Just take your time. And a good medium, a responsible medium, if they have to tell you something that might change your life or could change your life, they'll tell you in a way that is responsible and they'll help you through it. Al, do you want to say anything about that before we go any further?
Just to, no matter what they say, always, even if you think they're telling the truth, always figure it out for yourself and research yourself and see if it's valid without taking action on something that you'll regret, right?
Yeah, I mean, because you've been to me so many times, we've worked together so many times, I mean, I will tell people, go check it out. Don't just accept it just because I said so. Check things out. Make sure that you're, paying attention to your own instincts. Got it.
Dean has a question.
Good morning, my darling.
Are there mosquitoes in the spirit world?
Oh, that's
Laughing out loud.
That's funny.
Actually, is there nature in the spirit world where we can spend time?
Yes, I'm going to say that definitely, because I've traveled to different parts of the spirit world. But remember, the universe is huge, So we're talking about, just as in this world of ours, when we look through a telescope, if we saw the world from space, we'd see it as a tiny grain of sand. But we consider the world to be huge, and there are a variety of different places and different areas that we can go to. There's, the sunny places, the cold places. I mean, it's a fascinating world, really, isn't it? It's lots of different places and lots of different experiences and lots of different cultures. And I think that the universe, we talk about the spirit world, it's not just this tiny space that we all inhabit. There's a variety of places to go. There are a variety of a vast variety of experiences that we can have. And nature is a part of that, absolutely a part of that. Yes, that's all I'm saying for now. Al, question.
So we have Wanda.
Good morning, Wanda.
Recently, my daughter had a reading. I was with her. She began to sob uncontrollably about what they told her. She shared with me that she hears and tells things and doesn't understand it. What can I do to help her?
I need to know the age of the daughter, and I would like to know what it was that she didn't like about what somebody was saying to her. And she's saying what they told her. So is there more than one person? If you would like to email me, I'm sorry, who is this again?
Wanda.
Wanda. If you'd like to email me, Wanda, with some little bits of information, I will be glad to talk to your daughter for 10 minutes. We can either Skype or FaceTime or something. I won't charge you. And Carolyn's making a note. And I'll be very happy to listen to the girl and to see if I can help in any way. It would be completely irresponsible of me to say anything at all other than that within the few minutes that we have. And again, we're talking about, this has come up now for the third time, responsibility. And mediums should have a responsibility and should be aware of that responsibility, because and I'm a little bit concerned that you might have taken her to people who were maybe did not know what they were doing, because obviously she's left now in the dark. And if you'd taken her to someone who knew what they were doing, they would be able to help her, and you would feel comfortable with that help. So again and again and again, I cannot stress it enough. The fakes, the charlatans, the cheats, they're easier to spot. The sincere people, the loving people, the kind people, the genuine people who have some knowledge, but only a little, they're the ones who can be the most dangerous, because they might see and hear, but they don't see and hear all of it or the whole story. They only get little bits and pieces. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. And, when I hear stories like this, and much worse stories than this, I mean, it really isn't any wonder, is it, that people like myself have a really, really awful reputation in certain areas. And it isn't any wonder why people don't believe us, or why people are scathing, or why people think that we take advantage of other people, so on and so forth, all those awful things that are said about people like myself. It's no wonder, because there are people out there with good hearts and genuine affection and a genuine need to help others, who shouldn't be doing what they're doing. And, so the first thing I learned when I started doing this work was the responsibility of a medium is enormous. What we do is we touch people's hearts and we change people's lives. And we want, if we're decent people, we want to change those lives for the better. And honestly, come on, those of you who are out there who are dabbling, who are mucking about, who have a little bit of knowledge, many of you know this. So stop it. What do you get? You get a little bit of money, you get a little bit of notoriety, you get a little bit of people thinking, wow, look at her, isn't she great? But let me tell you, you would not want to be a medium. There's nobody out there who really wants to be a medium, including myself. It is hard. It is tough. The responsibility is enormous. It's enormous. You're holding people's lives in your hands. Please be responsible. Stop mucking about. If you don't have a thorough understanding of what it is that you are doing, if you only get little bits and pieces, you should not be doing anything. You're either a medium who can see the whole picture and see it clearly and precisely. You're a medium who can give the evidence clearly, precisely as it should be given, without any doubts to what it is that you're talking about, or don't do it. Just please don't do it. Find another job. Find something else to, that you can earn a few pennies at. I've gone on a rant. I went on a rant. I didn't mean to go on a rant. Alan, promise I didn't mean to go on a rant. But oh boy, it makes my blood boil. There we are. Anyway, all right. Email me, my darling Wanda. I'll do my very best to help you. I will not charge you. And see how nice I am. And if I can help your daughter, I'll try my very best to do that for you. All right.
Nad has a question.
Yes. Good morning, Nat.
Nad.
Oh, Nad. Sorry.
Hi, Rose. My daughter saw a dark male figure in her house. It seemed to be passing by. What could it be? Thank you so much.
Well, could be anything, couldn't it? Okay. We're going back to the subject of people from the spirit world visiting. Can they see everything? So on and so forth. I just want to mention, because when people see ghosts often, and maybe this is what it was, a daughter who saw this, or a
Yes.
daughter who saw this figure. People seem to feel that the ghost, the apparition, the figure, whatever it is that less solid, sort of more sort of ethereal, wispy thing that seeps, through walls, or sort of seeps through furniture, so on and so forth. So I just want to mention, because I've had a few questions about this recently. Those in the spirit world are so much more solid and so much more real than we are. We live in a world, I know this is a very hard concept for us to understand. We know it scientifically. We know it's true because science tells us, sort of everything that we know. Those of us who are intelligent enough to be able to read, we know, we can read about these things, that our world is an illusion. We live in an illusionary world, but get it into your head and into your heart, into your emotions. It's really hard to understand how that can be. The walls of our houses, the blocks, the brick, whatever it is, are made up of tiny millions or trillions of tiny rectangular shaped molecules, which lock together to form what we consider to be, and what locks them together is energy. Energy pulls them together, energy draws them together, and then we have a brick. We're looking at a brick, but it's not really. We can bang it, we can chip it, we can get a saw to it, whatever. It looks solid, it feels solid, and so on. However, if the energy around it changed, it would disintegrate into nothing. Those molecules would separate, completely separate, and we would have nothing. So when we think of the ghost seeping through the wall, actually what we're looking at is the ghost being solid and the wall being not solid. Again, science tells us that it's true. I'm not talking out the top of my head here. We know it, we understand it. Those of us who are in any way partway intelligent will understand when science tells us, when scientists tell us, or the greatest minds of the world will tell us, that this world of ours is an illusionary world, because it is a world that is filled with energy, different types of energy creating different circumstances. certain types of energy which have these molecules locking into place and so on. I mean, I'm sure that, when you've got the woodworker in the garage and he's working away, I'm sure that he does not think to himself, all it needs is a slight change of energy and I'm going to be working on nothing at all but thin air. I'm sure he doesn't think that. We're so used to having this solid world of ours that when we leave our body, when we leave this earth plane and we take our real solid etheric body, indestructible, completely indestructible, we leave behind this physical, how maybe how much of our physical body is actually solid and how much of it is liquid. I think it's 98% fluid and something like that. So a high percentage of our bodies is fluid and the rest of it, is all sort of held together. But we are, Karen is looking this up for me as we're talking, but we are our etheric body, our spirit body, that body that leaves our physical body is far more solid, far more real than anything that we could be. It is a weird concept. I know that it is a very strange, it's a very weird concept, but that's the way it is. So when you see someone in your house, and I think this lovely person, I've got a name, who is it? Who's asking
Nad.
this? Nad?
Yeah.
So when you're asking, what did my, daughter see? She obviously saw maybe someone from the spirit world just coming to say hello, walking through the house, passing through, what have you. And I think it's great that she saw it. I know it can be a bit scary, but I'm pretty sure it's someone in your family who's just come to visit to say hello. Al, what do you think to what I just said? Is that weird, right?
Yeah, I learned something new. Never thought of it that way, and it's
What?
and I actually never thought of it that way.
You've never heard me say that before?
No, no.
That's right.
Yeah.
This world of ours is an illusionary world. Science tells us that it's so, but in our hearts and minds, it's solid. Did you find the information?
60%
60%
of the adult human body is fluid.
60% of the adult, I thought it was higher than that actually. 60%, she just Googled it, of the adult body, physical body, is 60% is fluid. Imagine if so you are like a bathtub and somebody undid the plug. Right. Can you imagine that? Sorry, my imagination is going crazy now. Let's get off the subject. Al, do you have a question for us?
We do, yes. We have Adrian.
Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning, Rosemary. My best friend just lost one of her good friends to suicide. She is devastated and wants to know how he is and why he would do this. It just doesn't seem like him.
There are many reasons why people take their own lives. And let me just say this for the mother of this boy. There are many beliefs, many religious beliefs. Many people believe that it's a wicked thing, that God turns away from those who take their own lives and so on and so forth, and that they're damned and condemned to hell and all the rest of it. Not true. Absolutely not true. For whatever reason a person takes their own life, the end of the day is because God called them home. I have had people come to me with the same situation, and those people who have taken their own lives have their own stories to tell. And sometimes there doesn't seem to be a reason except that I heard a voice, God called me home. And we all have a time to be born and we all have a time to die. And, I'm going to suggest that you get your friend to read my first book, The Eagle and the Rose. There is a story in there that I think will help her tremendously. You can email us if you want, and we'll send you a book certainly with our compliments. If you just pay the postage, that would be really nice, because I'm not paying the postage, but I don't mind giving you a book in these circumstances. We're very happy to let you have a book. Email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. What was the name of this person? Adrian. So if you know, but just you do need to send the postage, because I don't know where in the world you are even. So if you email us about that and tell us where you are, we can figure out how much the postage will be, and you can just send that to us, and certainly we'll send you a book. Absolutely, with my compliments. But it's a devastating situation, and I'm going to say I can't. In the beginning, I think that having his mother read this book and understand what the process is, understand the different ways that people do pass into the spirit world, and understand that there is no person that God will turn away if he is of the light, even if he is of the dark, but he chooses to step into the light. It means that he wants to be in the light. I'm not suggesting that this is the case with this boy, but God doesn't turn anyone away. He embraces all of us who want to be in that light. So read the book. I think that's the best thing. I'm sure that he's safe. I'm sure that he's well and happy. Suicide is an awful thing for the entire family to deal with, and if I can help in any way, please let me know. Again, email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, and I'll do my best to help. Al, no, was it Carolyn?
What's that?
Oh, Al.
We have Mary.
Good morning, Mary.
I found a huge feather the other day walking Misty, my dog. Is this feather? Was this feather from a spirit? Can you tell me who?
Look, you're asking the question you already know the answer to, Mary. How lovely for you. How fabulous for you. Carolyn, let's have another question.
Sharon asks,
Good morning, Sharon.
can I ask God what I can do to help my daughter on the other side?
Of course you can. And God will always listen to you. I'm sorry that Carolyn's just nipped off. It is a live show, and FedEx is bringing me a parcel. I hope it's the chocolates that were promised to me. Now, we can all help those who are our loved ones who are on the other side. We can all of us send our prayers, and we know that those who are on the other side, those who love us and who care about us, we know that they are absolutely listening to everything that we have to say. If you are worried, my darling, about your daughter, then again, email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. And I'm going to send her some special prayers. We'll put her on our healing list, and you know, we'll send her as many healing prayers as we possibly can. I've just Carolyn's just come back in. I've just said to what is the name of this person, Carolyn?
Sharon.
Sharon, email us. Certainly, we'll put you on our healing list, and your daughter as well. I do have Gregor putting his hand on my shoulder, so I can tell you that she is safe and well. It's you, I think, that we perhaps should be worrying a little bit about, because obviously this is the worst tragedy we could possibly imagine ever that could happen to any of us. So if I may, I'd like to put your name down on our healing list as well, and we'll be sending you healing. My puppy's come right up here just at the right moment, because after all, he is a healer dog, and he always appears when somebody needs healing. He's right there, so he's right here for you. So Kachuro and I and my team are going to be sending you healing, my love. Al, let's have another question, shall we?
We have a comment from Sarah, who asked earlier about what we could ask for with the job. She says, then I hope the spirit world thinks that I need another job. At least I tried to make a change. Thanks.
Oh, you know, Sarah, I'm absolutely certain that the spirit world knows exactly what you need. And if you really, really are intent on getting another job, you're making moves. You're already looking for a job. You're already going out there. It's those people who think that, you know, I'm going to ask God, but then I'm going to sit back on my bum and do nothing at all. Keep trying, darling. I think the new job is, you know, it's within reach. Yay. Let's have another question. Carolyn?
Gianluca was trying to ask
Gianluca, good morning.
a question last week and we could not understand.
Oh, we did say we'd revisit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They have a question today. What is faith if I don't believe in God? Nothing.
What is faith if I don't believe in God? That's a really good question, because you don't have to believe in God to have faith. You can have faith in yourself. You can have faith in your loved ones. You can have faith in, I have faith in my puppy who's sitting right next to me. You can have faith in lots of things. I have faith that if I'm going to make a chicken salad, then it's going to be a beautiful chicken salad. I'm going to enjoy it because I have faith in me as a cook. Faith, belief, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be in God, but faith is something that all of us, I think, have in some regard for someone. If you don't believe in God as a man sitting on a throne with a white beard, I'm with you. I don't believe that either. But I know that a lot of people do. And if that works for you, and that belief that God is in human form, and there he is, and he sits there on his throne and he points the finger and all the rest of it, if that works for you, and it helps your faith, your belief, your conviction that there is a God, go for it. Because when it's my turn to go, I could end up there kneeling at the feet of the man in the throne with the white beard, saying, "Whoops, I didn't realize you look like this. Sorry about that." And I know that he's sure he, she, or it will forgive me. I believe more of God in an energy, in a force that is for goodness and for light and for beauty. I believe that there was a man by the name of Jesus Christ who was an amazing human being, amazing, amazing man. And I do believe that he was one of the most, if not the most spiritual of people. So every one of us has our belief systems, but you don't have to have faith in order to believe in God. I believe in my daughter. I have faith in her. I believe in my grandson. I have faith in him. I believe in my friends, not to the point that I don't think they'll ever let me down, because that's what we do as human beings. But I have faith in myself, and I have faith that in sitting here and talking about faith with you, I have faith that you'll find your faith one day. Doesn't have to be in God, just has to be in goodness and in truth and in kindness and in love and in whatever reality is yours. Al.
We have Wendy, our Wendy from the course.
Morning, Wendy.
Morning. My doctor wants to do surgery on my, she says, poorly ear. I think her bad ear. I am unsure and wondered if I should wait and try natural solutions and resort to surgery if this fails. Can Grey Eagle offer advice?
Yes, but Wendy, we can do this not on this show. So if you'd like to either through Al or connect with us, I can certainly, we can have a little conversation about it. These are the perks of being a student. If you need something, I'll help you. So we'll set up a time and a place. Al, can you make a note that when we have to talk to Wendy, and we'll do that. Carolyn.
Marlene has a very interesting question.
Good morning, Marlene.
Do we have exit points in our lives where we could cross over but decide not to? Like being on a carousel and deciding which stop to get off? Accidents, illness? Who decides this, God or ourselves?
Well, that's a very, very interesting question, Marlene. Oh, yes. All right. Well, I think we do have. I'm not quite sure if we have them in the way that you might think them, but we certainly do have. You call them exit points, where we can get off the carousel or when we can get on the carousel. These are our choices, but these exit points, on and off, in and out points, whatever it is, I think they pertain more to our lives. That making a decision to, I was talking to a friend yesterday who, and I've been saying this to this friend for so many years. If you want to be happy, if you want to change your life, it requires you moving. And it doesn't matter how long I've said it to her and how many times I've said it to her, she's not ready to do it. At some point, I know that she will get off of the roundabout that she's on. She'll get off of that carousel that's making her dizzy, dizzy, dizzy. But in order to get off it, she has to make a move and do certain things. So we all have choices, and we all have, determinations. I think, Al, you sort of exited in a way. You exited New York when you moved to Colorado. These are our choices. Sometimes we regret our choices and sometimes we don't. There is a time, however, for us to be born and a time to pass into the spirit world. I'm checking with Grey Eagle. They are immovable. So this decision made. I think there's more to it than that, but we don't have time to go into that now. I'm going to find out more about that. So maybe it is possible for some of us to go sooner rather than later. It does seem, I know a lot of people think, we've talked about suicide earlier on, it does seem that when we take our own lives, we're taking a chance, we're getting off the carousel sooner than we should. I don't believe that, because I believe that we don't take those actions until we are allowed, until it's our time to do that. So even the accident was an accident waiting to happen. I know this for various reasons, but for one of the reasons, and I'm going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons here. Somebody asked me just last night, what do you mean? You can see the future then? You can see into the future? And yes, I can, and have seen into the future many, many times for many, many people. It's fascinating to me because, a lot of the time you tell somebody what you can see for them in their future. And I always like to give people choices, but for myself, even when I'm giving choices, I know which choice they're going to make. There are some things that they're inevitable, they're set in stone about our future. And so somebody like myself, with the help of Grey Eagle and with the help of that person's family, can literally map out a person's future. But it's sometimes we never hear back, so we don't know if it's right or if it isn't right, or we hear back because a person wants to book another appointment. But there are times, great times, when somebody will write maybe 10 years on and say, you told me this, 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 and this, and this, and everything happened, Rosemary. Well, it's not just what I have told other people. I personally have had that experience for myself, where somebody, and you have to read for more of that story in more detail. You need to get A Walk in the Clouds. Do we have a copy anywhere on that bookshelf there? You need to get A Walk in the Clouds. And if you want to know more about where to get it, you can email us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, or you can go to lulu.com/rosemaryaltea and you'll find it there. It's available for sale. But in A Walk in the Clouds, I do talk about the possibility of seeing into the future and how clearly we can see into the future. So I know that it can be done. So there are certain things in our lives. Thank you. There are certain things in our lives. There we go. Look, I don't know if you can see it. A Walk in the Clouds. The feather is my signature. It's a really great book. Lots of stories, but there is a story in here which pertains to me personally, that happened to me, and also to my grandson and my daughter actually as well, which leads me to an absolute understanding that there is a time to be born, there is a time to die. There are times in our lives when we are given these opportunities to take or not to take, but there are some things in our lives which are absolutely inevitable, completely and utterly inevitable, which are meant to happen. Oh my, here we go then. And The Eagle and the Rose, which is the book I suggested that I've forgotten her name now. I've suggested to somebody to read.
It would be a good book for Randy to read because he's asking, how did you meet Gray Eagle? I am curious.
The Eagle and the Rose, a New York Times bestseller. You can get it still. It's 22 years old and it's as good a read today as it ever was because it's a true story about my life. It's really, really fascinating, but it's also more fascinating than me is the stories that I find that other people's stories, I find them much more fascinating. Other people's stories with me and through me. And what's that one? Oh, and Angels in Training. Let's do it all. Angels in Training. The cookbook. We love this cookbook. We really love it. Let me just, we had a young man here yesterday. He was, believe it or not, he was from Yorkshire. I'm looking for a pretty picture here. I can't find. How about that? Look at those pictures. Look at those. You probably can't see them, but anyway, he was going through the cookbook and he said he sort of came to the shortbread because there's a recipe in there. There are 2 recipes in there for shortbread. And he came to the recipe and his first thing he said, oh, shortbread. And he looked at me, he said, oh, despondent and despairing. He said, you can't get shortbread here, can you? Well, actually you can, but it's not great. So I said, would you like some? Because I just happened to have some shortbread. So
this is what I heard.
Carolyn's eyes lit up. Yeah.
I watching him and I heard, ta-da! He just glowed.
He did glow. He glowed. Real shortbread, really? Cooked by an English person who does have Scottish blood, by the way. Anyway, Al, do we have another question?
We do. We're close to time. Just as an FYI, we have
yeah.
We have Nettie here. We have pretty much half of our classes on listening today.
Everybody.
Do we go through different stages before we get to where we want to go in the universe?
I think Nettie might be meaning, are there different stages within the universe that we can go to? I think there are different stages of learning, different stages of growing. That's all I'm saying about that. By the way, Nettie, if I have to tell you once again how much I love you, I shall hit you. I love you, I love you, I love you. Stop it. Stop doubting yourself. That's just between Nettie and I. Do we have one more question?
We do. Twiggy Leaf asks.
Good morning, Twiggy Leaf.
I read a story of someone astral projecting and they picked a flower and when they woke up, they had the flower in their hands. Nice. I thought, well, that's rubbish. Can that actually happen?
It actually can. But I'm so glad you were skeptical because, we all have to be skeptical. It can actually happen, and not often, I have to tell you, but it can actually happen from time to time. And those gifts from the spirit world, those gifts that either the spirit world can send to us or that we can reach for and sometimes bring back with us, they are called apports. An apport, A-P-P-O-R-T. An apport is a gift given specifically and especially for a person from someone in the spirit world who loves them very much, an apport. And you never know, on our online classes, we might even be talking about apports more. Who knows what we're going to be talking about? Anyway.
We have a comment from Isa.
Oh, let's have comments.
Hello, Rosemary,
Hi,
Carolyn, and Al.
Hi.
Really miss these live broadcasts. We had Ramadan and we're fasting, and because this gets broadcast at exactly when we break for our fast.
Oh!
Nevertheless, wanted to send you all warm wishes and blessings.
Oh, thank you, darling. Thank you. I've forgotten it is Ramadan. It is. You're right. I actually more than once, had the privilege of sharing Ramadan with friends. A wonderful, wonderful time, wonderful food. I know you're not supposed to eat, but at the end, I think they have this feast or something. You have to tell me more about it. Just write to me, let me know more about it. But I remember celebrating. It's a great holiday. Anything else that we have here? I think we're done.
You have a 1 o'clock, so.
Oh, I have 1 o'clock.
Yes.
Wow. So now, if you want to know more about me, email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaLtea.com. or visit Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the social media stuff. I'm sure I'm not on all of it. If you know about social media and you want to help me, or you've got some suggestions, throw them at me, because I'm always willing to learn, and I'm not good at it myself at all. But email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. If you want to know more about my books, email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. And if you want to know more about Everything is Attitude, which is on Friday evenings, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's on the East Coast of America. That's New York time, for those of you who don't quite get that. And 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock British time. So 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Everything is Attitude. And tomorrow we're going to have a guest on who's...
We are not having that guest on, Rosemary. I just received word, so...
Oh, well then, who knows?
Surprise topic for tomorrow.
We're debating on a topic for tomorrow, but we shall let you know. Karen's going to send out a mass email. If you want to be on my email list, by the way, again, the email is rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, and just say I'd love to be put on your emailing list, and we shall do that for you. And we should send you all the information that we have. I think that's it. I'm trying to think what else there is. I think that's all I can think of right now. I really did enjoy the show today. I hope you all enjoyed the show today. I hope you learned a little bit. Al obviously did, because he didn't even know that we lived in an illusionary world. Now I'm going to go and have my illusionary curry chicken salad, which tastes really, really good. Illusionary or not, it tastes so good, so great. So I'm going to have my chicken salad. So until I see you all again, hopefully tomorrow evening, if not, then next week, or on Instagram or Messenger or wherever it is you want to connect with me. Until then, I'm going to just can't help myself. I just can't help myself. No good. Please, 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 please have a very, very, very blessed day. Now I've got to find that little, there it is, that little arrow. I can't believe I can see it without my glasses on. It's amazing. Have a very blessed day, everybody.